Hello, everybody. I am yet again Price McKinney, simply put. And as always, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. Um, Before I go another further, let me get this out of the way. Um, YouTube, simply put, podcast with Price McKinney um, on YouTube on Tuesdays. I'm also on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, Simply put, with and or by Price McKinney. So if you have not already, like, subscribe, leave a comment, watch a video, and but make sure you subscribe. It's free, doesn't hurt. Make that happen. So, now I'm wrestling with this. I am. I'm just being honest. Moment of transparency. I am wrestling with this one because I've got a traffic jam in my head. So bear with me. Um, One of the videos I posted earlier last week, I made the comment. I said, men have an objective and they typically know what they want. Women, some women, not all, this is not cookie cutter. It doesn't apply to everybody. So just understand that from the beginning. And I said, most women don't know what they want. And if they do, they have unrealistic expectations. Let me say this from the onset. We're in a day now, we're in a time where and I want to use the right terminology, the playing field is being leveled. What do I mean by that? In times past, relationships have been top heavy with what the woman wants and the needs of the man, in a lot of cases, are somewhat neglected. And please understand, and I need you to hear me clearly. I need you to hear me and understand this. I am not anti-woman. That ain't it. I love women. I had a very strong, solid relationship with my grandmother, my sister, my mom. So I'm not anti-women by no means. I love women. Please understand that. So that's not what this is, okay? But I've got to be honest and I got to be real, as they say. And most people now do not know what they want. And here's how you see this thing play out. For example, and I've had this happen to me personally. Brothers, just work with me because I know you'll feel me on this. You ask a woman, "What do you want to eat?" I don't know. What do you have a taste for? I don't know. Um, and then that turns into a whole conversation. So me as the man, brothers, I know you've this has happened. You make a decision because it's difficult for her to decide what she wants to eat, right? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with this, but this is life. So you make a decision, you go get something to eat, you bring it back home or wherever you're gonna eat, right? And what what happens? This ain't what she wanted. Well, I asked you what it was you wanted. You didn't tell me. Then I made a decision. That's still not what you want. Sometimes for women, it's difficult to make simple decisions. And I understand from the standpoint you all have a lot more to process and deal with on a daily basis than we do. Not saying that men don't, because trust me when I say we have our own pool of thoughts and stuff that we're trying to sort through and figure out and make happen, all the above. But we live in a day now where the dynamic between what a man wants and what a woman wants, it's like there's now this big gulf in between, and it's difficult to bring the two together because, and it's okay, please understand, it's okay. Women have this list of, and this idea, and it's typically only in your head. Nothing wrong with it, but it's typically just there because he's got to be this tall, he's got to have this kind of hair, He's got to, and Jesus Christ. And the thing now is he's got to have X amount of dollars. He's got to have, he's got to, before you even do anything, start dating, talking, he's got to be six figures. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But here's the challenge. The more you have in your category in terms of what you want that man to be from the beginning, we ain't even talking about, y'all started, dating and you spending time together from the onset. This is your list. The more you have on that list, the shorter your chances of finding that particular man is, because the percentages drop and the number of men in that particular category, in those categories that you desire, is a whole lot smaller and a whole lot shorter. Now, men, on the other hand, we in general, we are very simple. A, B, C, and D, whatever that may be. And sometimes you can take out the C and the D. Sometimes you can take out the A and the C, whatever. It doesn't have to be a long list of this. Typically, men want to be treated kind, and most importantly, first and foremost, he's got to be respected. If you can't do that, especially and when I say middle age, I'm talking late 30s going toward 50ish on up. If you can't respect that man and you can't talk to him and the way that he needs to be talked to, you're going to have a problem, because it's just it's not good. It's not good. Don't be disrespectful. Don't call him names. Don't belittle him. Don't challenge his manhood. Don't do those things, because you, in a lot of cases, you could very well be positioning yourself to lose a good man. You have to be willing to give him a chance. You have to be willing to give you a chance. But more importantly, over and above all of that, you have to know what it is that you want, and understand that even if he can't meet every single, the thing now is everything has to check off. Everything has to check off. I've seen videos, countless videos these days, where women go out on a date and their expectation is, he expects me to give up the goods on the first date. I'm not doing that. And that, cool. That's totally understood. But what you've also got to understand, he has the same right to decide what he wants to do on that first date. And he may not want to pay for your meal on that first date, just like you feel like you're not going to give up what you're going to give up on the first date. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not all about what the woman wants versus what he wants as well. It's got to be a two-way street. It can't just be all of what you want and then you might give him this or you might give him that. No, what make the thing work. There's an expression, and I've heard it for years. Happy wife, happy life. What about the man, folks? Do you know how many men are miserable and frustrated because of that? He does A, B, and C, and he doesn't get anything in return. Men are investors, and at some point, when the the investment has little to no return, he's gonna get tired of that. Now, I'm not saying women, and please hear me, men and women, everybody. I'm not saying that women shouldn't be treated fairly. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. Because if he can't treat you the way you need to be treated, for starters, then leave it be. Now, any relationship is going to have its challenges. Any relationships is going to have its troubles. That's a part of it. You can't get away from that. You got two people coming together, two different worlds, two different upbringings, two different everything, and that's coming to it's just part of it. But you have to be willing to work through it together. Can you help me and be with me at my lowest and help me get to where I need to be, and vice versa? Can I do the same for her? I and thinking about this video, I remember distinctly, in both of my marriages, um, they were able to accomplish things that they had wanted to accomplish, and I'm not saying that I didn't, but I made a point and positioned myself to make sure that that happened for them, and that was a big deal for me. So I want to be clear. It's not. I'm not saying that women shouldn't have expectations. I'm not saying that women shouldn't have wants, but what I am saying is make sure they're practical and make sure they're realistic. I understand you want your Prince Charming. I get it. I understand he wants his whatever he wants. I get it. It's a two-way street. But just make sure it's realistic and practical. And make sure that within that process, within you understanding who, it's a lot to it, but knowing who you are helps you understand what it is you want, and it also helps you understand what you don't want. And again, in this day and time, it is challenging. It for a lot of people, not just me, but for a lot of single people, it is really frustrating because it's like, you hear women say, "Well, we're the good men. We here. They're out there, but where are you looking, and what are you looking for?" Is the question. I know a lot of people, I myself included. I don't really like going out, so I'm limiting myself in terms of who I could potentially meet. So you have to consider that as well. But please understand, it's in going into a relationship, it's not all about you and what you want and what you're going to get and what you need. And then you feel as though you're going to neglect or limit what you're going to do for him. That ain't working these days no more. You have to be willing to work together with the person that you choose and the person that you with. You have to be willing to work together. It's not all about her. It's not all about him. It's about both of you. It's about both of us. It is a partnership. Now we have all of these terminologies and definitions now. You got the boss babes and the alpha now there's alpha females, and I'm like, what is all of this? It's the times that we're in now, and times have changed. It just is what it is. It's not like it was back in the day where your grandmother and granddaddy, they stayed together for 950 years, had all multiple children, put them through school, and did what they had to do to make it work. It's those that doesn't happen anymore. I'm not saying it can't. It does on occasion, but it's rare because nowadays you have to have two incomes. The price of everything is going up, and you have to have somebody that you can work with. Can you work with the person? But it starts with knowing what it is that you want, and be willing. And I'm finishing with this. Just as much as you want out of that man, you got to be willing to do and be for him. It's it's got to be equal. It can't be lopsided. So if you have this long list of expectations, and he's got to do this and he's got to do that and he's got to be this and he's got to be that, make sure you're in position to where when he asks you to, when he puts that same demand on you, that you can fulfill it. It's got to be equal. That's all I'm saying. It's got to be equal. It can't just be, you get everything that you want, and then he gets very little to nothing. And I'm not, when I say that, I'm not even talking about the sex part of it. That's not where I'm at with this. That's null and void at this point. Just the basic needs, desires, wants. Be willing to do and be whatever it is you want him to be for you. You've got to be the same for him according to what it is that he wants. Again, I'm Price McKinney. Simply put, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Simply Put Podcast with Price McKinney on Tuesdays on YouTube. Like, subscribe. I want to thank you for listening. I'm not an expert. I just know what I know, and I promise you, I'll see you soon.